I want to say good morning. My name is Jennifer Yarbrough. I am with JYM Fundraising, and I am a consultant. It is such a pleasure to be with you this morning. I wanted to just give a brief introduction to who I am and what I do and how I hope what I do can help you. Um, I am a professional fundraiser, have been one for the last 24 plus years, actually. I started in my grant writing career as an intern. I was interning for a public housing authority in the state of Tennessee and was put in a position to write grants. Had no idea what that topic entailed, had no idea what to expect, but thus I was thrust into that arena. I took some training, which was critical for me. I realized that I'm a hands-on learner and thus had to take a couple of classes, take a couple of grant writing workshops, which helped me to design my craft. And I can say that that springboard, that opportunity is what led me to where I am today, made me curious, hungry, interested in, passionate about fundraising. So today, I want to take you through some really critical, important steps regarding grant writing. I am approached every day by individuals who have an interest in starting a nonprofit organization, who are interested in knowing how to move their grant writing efforts forward and just don't know quite where to begin. Now, if you are an established organization and you have a staff, a development staff, a grant writer on staff, or even if you have a part-time or one that is a volunteer, this session might help you just in terms of, if you're not actually doing the work, give you some tips and insights on how to walk alongside the person that might in fact do the actual work or the writing. I want to start by giving my email address, and I'll give it again at the end. In the event that you would like to reach out to me for anything, if there is anything that I can answer for you, please do so. And I would encourage you to also stay to the end, because there is a special offer for those that listen through this entire presentation. My email address is JY as in yellow, M as in Mary, fundraising consultant, no S, CONSULTANT, JYNM fundraising consultant at gmail.com. I will start with the topic which I selected, so you think you are ready to write your grant proposal. There is so much that happens in a proposal before you actually begin the writing. It is imperative, it is critical that you receive the RFP and read it carefully. Reading the RFP carefully before you actually do the submitting or the writing is so important. I also encourage my clients to, if you have an idea of where you would like to seek funds from, if you have a foundation or an organization that you are interested in receiving funds from, then I encourage you to get their RFP well in advance. Get their RFP, take a look at their annual report. The annual report will share with you who the organization or the foundation or the organization has funded in the past, what types of programs they fund, how often, the times of year, the dollar amounts, All of those things are outlined on the in their annual report of the organization that you are seeking funds from. So I encourage you to get that information well before you start your proposal writing process. Again, these are things that should happen at least 6 months before the proposal. There's always a deadline, and you want to read everything as carefully as possible. If you are looking for the funds tomorrow, next week, within the month, you've waited too long. You started too late. However, there are other funds available and other funders that you can then seek as well. This is just a rule of thumb that doing your research, reading their RFP, their request for proposal, that's what the RFP means, request for proposal, reading that, those documents or those pages very, very carefully will help you and benefit you. In that information, you will see the requirements, you will see how the organization would like for you to lay out your proposal, the number of pages, font size, things like that. Those specifics are there in your RFP. You want to read it carefully. And then you want to organize your proposal according to the RFP. It will lay out for you typically the manner in which the proposal should be laid out. It will tell you if it wants the purpose first, if it wants the vision first, if it wants the goals and objectives first, if it wants just a letter of inquiry, and then they'll follow up with a full application later. Again, all of that information is very important for you to pay attention to, and then to begin the writing of your RFP or your proposal according to the stipulations and the requirements of that RFP. It's also important to possibly have, if you can, more than one person reading the RFP, because sometimes we're in a culture where we scan and don't really read. I tend to highlight important areas like font size, margin size. Some of the funders are very, very particular even about margins. And let me say this, I was and have been a reviewer for many years for the Department of Education, for the Housing and Urban Development, and other federal agencies, as well as foundations and community foundations as well. And as a reviewer, we found that we would get hundreds of grant applications. And our job was to go through those proposals and toss aside first those proposals that did not follow the guidelines. That typically narrowed our scope of funding right away. We went through those first, and they didn't meet the requirements because they did not follow instruction, which then gives the funder an impression that if you won't follow the instructions of the initial guideline, you possibly may not follow the instructions once the funds have actually been awarded either. So that was a piece of insight that I think is very valuable to you, which is why, again, it is so important that you follow the guidelines. You follow the guidelines of the proposal of the RFP, okay? And once you've organized your proposal, usually the parts of the proposal includes a letter from your president. It's typically signed by your executive director, maybe a board chair. There is a title page. There is an abstract page, something that just gives you a brief overview of what the program involves or will encompass. There is a table of contents. Generally, if this is a longer proposal, I have written proposals as long as hundreds of pages. Then there are some that are just page requirements or page limitations as well. But however, in the RFP, they will identify if they want a table of contents as well. Then it will talk about your your project description, the purpose of your program, a purpose of your organization, and your goals and objectives. A timetable is very important, and then your budget and evaluation. Now, those are the typical parts of a proposal, and so you want to again make sure that as you receive your RFP and it is giving you information, these are parts that typically come up. And once you have those in queue, then you are more apt and prepared to respond more quickly to the proposal, because you do want to meet their specific deadline. Meeting the deadline is very critical. And again, reading very carefully, paying very close attention to the point allocation. If you are writing a longer proposal, let's say, each area that has been designated or laid out in the proposal typically will have a point designation. It will tell you 5 points for your program abstract. It may say 10 points for your project description. It may say 8 points for your purpose, 5 or 10 points for your goals and objectives, and thus they will all be there very clearly lined out, and the reviewer then will review those sections, each section, and determine, based on that point allocation, how well you did in meeting the requirements for defining or describing those elements of the proposal. At the end, the reviewer will then add up all of those scores, and thus that's how your proposal is scored. Okay, so reading again is very critical, paying attention to the point allocations, understanding that your proposal may get funding or may be declined based upon a series of points. Okay, it's very important that you understand how the proposal is scored, because if in fact you choose to apply again, you have the right. They may honor your question or not, but you can ask the funder for your points. You can find out how it was scored. You can figure out from there then how well you did in describing certain areas of the proposal, or how you might need more information, more clarity. There may even be comments. The reviewer may have left comments that you can ask for to help you then be better prepared for the next proposal. And this is something that typically most seekers of grants don't know. And so they may receive the letter of declination in the mail and feel that that's the end. No, you can request the points. You can request the reviewer comments from the funder, and if in fact they collected those things or are making them available, typically they will send you that, because they do want grant writers to meet their guidelines. They want to review the best proposals possible. So if in fact this information will help you to improve your proposal writing for the next go round, typically they are willing to share this information with you. Okay, so it's very, very important that you request that information. And again, that's something that's not very commonly known, but things that I like to share with my clients. Again, planning ahead. Planning ahead means starting with the end in mind. Typically, we know what we want to do in the beginning, but I advise and consult my clients to start with the end in mind, looking at the organization's big picture. You have a program, you know that you need the funds to move forward. You know that you have a huge need. However, once you receive the funds, how would you like for that program What would you like for the end of the program to look like? You would like to see people served, back in school, let's say, with jobs, whatever your program need is. If they are homeless, you want them in a house. If they are on an addiction, if they are in recovery, whatever your area of interest is, what does it look like at the end? And being able to describe that, define that, draw the picture of what that looks like for the organization's furtherance of program success, keeping that in mind. And that is something that who you are, what your strengths are, what your priorities are as an organization, and being able to then paint a big picture of how the funds that you are seeking will help your organization be successful to that end. Okay, it's very important to think ahead, not just think to what will we do when the check comes, but how will this money impact this organization's ability as we are placed significantly and strategically within our community and serving the individuals that we serve. How will this strengthen us, improve our ability, and meet our priorities of serving whatever field of interest or area of service that you have? Thinking that ahead, being able to lay that out, outline that happens before the actual proposal begins. Okay, having those conversations with your program people, meeting with your budget, meeting with the individuals within your community, if there are collaborations that are available to help you again meet that end. Again, planning ahead. All of that starts, all that is documented prior to the proposal actually starting to be written. Do your homework on the funding perspective, the persons that you are seeking funds from. Again, searching locally for funds is kind of low-hanging fruit. You are in their backyard, you are serving the community that they also serve and have an interest in. So it's critical that you do your homework, understand who possibly is funding organizations such as yours or the type of work that you do, being able to then align yourselves with information and knowledge about those prospective funders. What times of year do they typically fund? How much do they typically fund per organization? Do they fund capital? Do they fund operations? Do they fund just program? Do they have multi-year funding opportunities available to them or that they offer? Again, doing your research is very, very critical. The things that we do is with our clients is that we help them do that type of research. We have resources that help help us keep that process pretty quick, more so than usually the layperson. They find it very frustrating because so much work needs to be done. You all are busy doing the program work. You're busy running your organization. And so we then are able to walk alongside your organization to give you that extra pair of hands to make sure that you are seeking the funds from the right resources, being as cost effective as possible, as well as being diligent in researching the best dollars. It's a disheartening tale for me when I meet with clients who tell me that they have sought funds, taken the time to write proposals, the effort to put those things together, to funders that have not had a history of funding their type of program. So you've done a lot of work. It's great work. However, the outcome has not been favorable, but we would have been able to help many of them be more strategic and thoughtful and work smart, not hard, working in an arena where they are more likely to receive the funds than kind of throwing a dart in the dark and hoping that it hits the board, okay? Any type of practice in working or writing, I encourage. But I know that your time is very valuable. Your funds are limited, and you need the money. You need those grant dollars to help you move forward and continue with the work that you are doing. And so we want to make sure that we help you wherever and whenever possible to do that kind of homework, so that when the proposal is actually written and submitted, there is a greater chance of actual success in receiving those funds. Okay. Now, in terms of planning, the other thing that we try to help our clients look at is, where would you like to be 1 year from now, 5 years from now, 10 years from now? What will your program look like? You know, how many people are you serving now? What is your current capacity in your current building, your current situation, your current space, whatever parameters that you currently have? Where then would you like to be in, say, 3 years, 5 years? Are you looking to be in that same place? Is your population of service so broad that there is opportunity to grow, to expand, to diversify? Those kinds of things we want to be able to help you identify, because you're going to then need additional funds for those either additional services or resources and so forth. So we want to make sure that as you are writing your proposal and expressing who you are and the importance and your priorities and the significance of your organization, that you're also able to speak to that the need is broad. This is where our current base of service is, but we're hoping that within the next 3 years, 5 years, we'll be able to continue to meet the need or meet more of the need as we move forward with the appropriate funding. So that, again, is something that we want you to think ahead of, and that all happens prior to the proposal actually being written, so that as you are speaking to this potential funder, letting them know that you have an idea, you have done your research, you have a real in-depth understanding to the population of people and people that you serve, that you know that, I'm assuming people, I'm saying people as an example, but you could be working with animals, you could be working with any other type of organization interest. But again, the point is that you have a depth and breadth of knowledge and understanding of the significance, the priority of your work, the impact of your work in your community, and how with the added funds, appropriate funds, and support, you will be able to continue to meet that very real need, okay? But planning ahead is very, very important. Clear communication. One of the things that I found as a reviewer was, it's hard to read minds. Impossible, actually. So the clear communication is a big issue for reviewers. Many times people write as if the reviewer already knows their program, and so they're not specific. And one of the things that JYM works with clients on is helping them to be very, very specific. We want to be able to say very clearly, I would like this amount of money in order to do this, whatever this is. Being very clear, concise, and to the point. We provide a technical assistance service where we take the proposal and we read it. And if we don't understand it, we then come back to our clients and say, tell me what this means. Give me more specific information to make it, again, as clear. Again, is looking to, weed through their hundreds of proposals that they're reading, and we want ours to stand out. We want to be able to say we have described as clearly and succinctly and exactly what it is that we are going to do. We've been realistic. We've been able to explain it, not just to make a statement, but that we've been able to explain it as well in the proposal, which is very, very critical. If you're not a writer by nature, you know, that's not something that you feel that you are strong at, but you, however, have the job of writing, it's very important to have someone who is, you know, completely unaware of what you do, to read it and then to be able to ask those poignant questions. And as a reviewer, I'm able to do that. I'm able to look at a proposal and say, okay, the reviewer is going to want to know exactly what you mean by this. I also find that when I'm speaking to a client and I ask them very, you know, clear, direct questions, they're able to give me such feedback, information that is nowhere in the proposal. And I'm thinking to myself, oh my gosh, that is critical information. We absolutely need to know that, and that needs to be in this proposal, but it's all in their head. So I typically tell some of my clients, go home, speak into a recorder. These are the questions that I have for you. I want you to speak them into a recorder, and as you're rambling, you are going to be able to become more clear and better able to define and describe clearly exactly what it is that you mean by a particular statement or phrase in your description of what it is that you do, the significance of what you do, the impact of what you do, etc. Okay, so that is very, very important. And being realistic. One of the things that I am gifted in is helping our clients, you know, bring it in, saying, okay, within this this year, what realistically are we able to do? Many of our clients think 5 years from now. And so they're writing as if they're already at that 5-year point, when actually within this period of the funding, be it 1 year, be it 2 year, etc., we want to be clear about what will be achieved, the success that will be gained within this time period, so that when we're able to provide feedback and we're able to report back the success of the program and how we've been able to steward the funds that were received, with the added funds, we'll be able to continue the work that we do, showing that this is the impact with this amount of dollars, with the continuance of those funds, we can stay on pace to maintain or improve that area of impact, okay? So again, that's very important to use clear language, to be very specific, write concisely. We don't want a lot of unnecessary words or jargon, you know, acronyms, things, again, assuming that we're writing to a person who already is familiar with your program. And again, it's important to note that reviewers are coming from all over the country. They're not typically reviewers from your community, unless it's from a community foundation, and then it's typically their board. And even if their board are reviewing the proposals themselves, they may not live in your backyard and have the same knowledge as you do as to the importance, the impact of your program. So again, being able to spell out those words, don't use jargon or acronyms, assuming that the reviewer will know what you're speaking about. Now, we want to be able to line out for the funder what's in it for them. Funders, you know, because they have a passion, they also have a cause, they also have their own interests as an organization to give funds to move forward their causes. We want to be able to we want to be able to be very clear and concise in showing the funder how we are helping them meet their area of interest as well. Again, you will find this out by reviewing the funder's annual report, looking at their funding list. If you happen to run across their 990, and you're able to see within the last year what was funded, or even the last 2 or 3 years, you can look back and find out what it is that they have funded in the past, what their area of interests are, and then you can speak to those things as well as partners, because now they have invested in your organization as one of their partners, and you want to be able to give back to them or share with them how you have met their specific need as well. And we, as an organization, JYM, we're able to help you research, if you have not the ability or the time to find out what the funder that you may be interested in. We can also do that research for you to find out who have they funded in the past, at what dollar range, at what frequency. Do they do repeat funding? Will they fund this particular program over and over again? And I typically see that if they have in fact awarded dollars, significant dollars, to the same organization over and over and over again, that lets us know that they are pleased with the outcome that this organization is able to articulate and achieve, and thus they have then been rewarded additional dollars to continue that work. Again, it's important to do your research, being able to pull back and to speak back to what's in it for them. Let me say this really quickly, that again, it's important that we understand that, you know, we're writing to individuals. We're not writing to just an organization or a building or an address or the name of a foundation or agency. There are people involved in making these decisions. And so we want to know as much as possible about these decision makers. Who are these people? What are their areas of interest? What is their background? You know, what boards do they sit on? Are the boards that they're involved in, or the agencies or the companies or systems that they participate in, are they similar? That will help us determine who within our network may know them, may be aware of them, may be able to speak to them about our particular project. And again, all of this is done research that should happen before the proposal, and is something that JYM can help with researching as well, because all of this information helps us craft, best design, and articulate our proposal in a language that we think will be most attractive to the reader. It's an individual. We want to be able to speak to that person as much as possible. Now, in addition to being able to describe to the funder what's in it for them, we also want to be able to say that we have used that we're cost effective, we're conscious of the dollars, the limited dollars that we have. We realize that the impact is huge, but we want to be able to show that we are good stewards. So as much as possible, we want to be able to show that you can collaborate with community partners, other agencies, volunteer agencies, social organizations, religious groups, whatever, that have similar that are aligned in their scope of focus or ability to be and to provide a resource. You want to collaborate as much as possible with your community partners. JYM can help you find out who does work similar to yours, who would be a great partner, find out who those individuals are that make that decision, so that you can then meet with them, lay out what that partnership will look like, come up with an addendum, an agreement that, you know, either you share funds or co-collaborate in some way. You might use them as a referral, as a place for meeting, as a place for housing. Again, those are dollars that may not cost, that may not be financial, actual dollars, but will impact your budget in terms of in-kind support and services that you may not have to then pay for, and you can show the funder that we've partnered with this organization who's given us a space at this dollar amount, which is much below the market rate, and thus we've saved, let's say, $200, and so then those $200 can then be used for program services. So you're able to lay out your budget and show how your cost-effective techniques has, one, improved your bottom line, but also increased your ability for service in the community by garnering those community partners. If in fact you don't know where to begin in that process and you're saying to yourself, oh my gosh, how do I go about getting a community partner? Who would best fit to line up with us? JYM can help you do some of that research so that you will then have the names of the individuals in your communities that you can speak with, or we can speak on your behalf if you'd like, so that those introductions are then made and the conversations can then move forward. Okay? At this point, you should have a very clear work plan. Your work plan should lay out your goals, your objectives, the activities that are going to be used to help you accomplish these objectives, and your benchmarks and your timeline. This is an area where JYM really has the best and the most impact on our clients, because we are able to take their goals and objectives and help them to craft the best, the most feasible, most accurate, and measurable list of activities, so that we can show that within this span of funding, this period of funding, we are going to be able to accomplish this. We have the personnel, we have the resources, we have the locations, we have the expertise, we have the clients, we have the people, whatever it is your area of services, all of those things line up. And if by, let's say, week, month 2 or 3 in a year's funding, we should know within 3 months if we are in fact going to be able to achieve our goals. If we are then unable to, because we have set up measures to determine if we're on target or if we underestimate it, we then can adjust ourselves so that we are able to achieve what we said that we would achieve with the grant dollars. Again, very important, so that we can then seek funding for the next go round and be able to show that we used those dollars wisely and was able to achieve everything that we had said that we would. Good stewardship, clear, concise, realistic, and on target. That's what we want to be. And that's what we want to lay out prior to the actual writing of the grant. All of that work plan needs to happen. Okay, because if in fact, let's say you ask for $10,000, but your scores or the number of individuals that also received awards, because you know that they are awarding dollars to more than one organization, and they may tell you in your guideline that they're only going to award 10 proposals. Again, they're going to receive hundreds. So it's critical that your proposal is concise, on point, has followed the instructions, because it is a competitive process. You want to then be able to say that if in fact we asked for, $10,000, but they only gave us $7,000, this is what we're still going to be able to achieve. We've thought that through in the work plan, and we will in fact be successful. Okay? All right. So let's say, and this is a hypothetical, as an educator, One of your objectives may say, teachers and students will become more computer literate. Okay, especially in this time of technology. What an example, right? Um, and so one of your activities is going to be buying computers for everyone. And then getting setting up the teachers and the classes and the curriculum. So, one of your benchmarks then is how many teachers per student. And when are you going to have, how quickly are you going to be able to solicit, invite, inspire your students to come to this class? How are you going to reach them? What is going to be your mode of advertising? And then who's going to be responsible for doing that to make sure that it happens? Those are the types of objectives that are laid out, the activities, the benchmark, the timeline, and who is responsible. That is all very key and pertinent before you actually write your proposal. Are those people in place? Do you need to hire them first? What is that hiring process going to look like? How long is that hiring process going to take? Again, your funds are for a limited period of time. It will say 1-year funding. It might say 2-year funding, but you want to be able to take into account or to consideration how long will your activities take to get off the ground. And that is something that JYM walks alongside you so that we can lay out a very realistic expectation for you and for the funder, so that when we get to the backside of the funding cycle, and let's say it's a year and we're into month 9 and it's taken you 9 months to hire someone, now you only have 3 months to actually implement the rest of those dollars. How is that going to happen? And in some cases, the funder may not give you all the money all at one time. Many times that they'll give you half now and half at a different time, within the funding cycle, because they want to make sure that you've spent the first half wisely. Okay, so there are different ways that funders will give the money, and you just want to be aware of that. But JYM can help you, work through that process as well if need be. So again, being able to lay out your activities, your benchmarks, the timeline, and who is responsible is very, very key. And this is a part of the technical assistance that JYM will give to you to help you be very clear and thoughtful about how to best describe that in your proposal. Okay, and if you have already achieved some success, you have people in your area or whatever your area of service is. Again, I'm assuming it's people, but it may be animals, it may be the environment, whatever your area or field of expertise is. Do you have stories that demonstrate success? Do you have anecdotes that you can use to tell your story, to show the need, to validate, how your organization has impacted or has had an impact, and how that impact then benefits the person, the environment, the community, the culture, again, wherever your area of expertise is. But you want to be able to show the story, tell the testimony, and again, speak to the impact, not an imagined impact, but an actual impact. They say a story is worth, is very valuable. And if you have pictures, a picture will tell 1,000 stories as well. So being able to articulate that in some type of imagery besides words is very important, and JYM can help you craft those stories, come up with ideas on how to capture those things so that they are presented in a way, if asked, and in some proposals they will ask for there will be other addendums. And in some of the addendums, they may ask for photos. They may ask for press releases. They may ask for those types of stories and so forth, because the reviewer, again, wants to make sure that your proposal is one that has huge impact for those limited dollars. They are looking for the most impact for as few dollars as possible, because everyone is, on a budget. They too are on a budget. They only have so much money to give, and they want to make sure that their dollars are spent as wisely as possible, but have as broad an impact as possible as well. Okay. And then we're coming to the end, but we want to talk about and have thought about continued beyond the funding. What happens after you've received it, you put the proposal in the mail, and now you may have to wait 3 or 4 months because the funder may have to gather the reviewers. That's going to take a period of time. Now the reviewers have to get together, review all the processes or all the proposals, score them, and then get them back to the funder. The funder then has to go through and decide how many or how much of the dollars are they going to award to those who got the top scores. That's going to be critical. And so you may be 2-3 months, let's say, into this process. And in some cases, it may be longer. They will, in some cases, the funder will tell you when the award letters may go out. But once you have put the proposal in the mail, and we all hope that you receive the full maximum dollar amount that you asked for, but in some cases that's not the case. You may ask for 10, they may give you 6. You may ask for 20, they may give you 17. You just never know. Based on your proposal, based on how many dollars that they need to allocate, they still want to make an impact, but they may not be able to award everyone at the maximum because everyone is asking for the maximum. They may not be able to award it at the maximum for everyone, and so they may just, divide it up as they see appropriate. So beyond that, how are you going to sustain your support? What have you thought about in terms of other funders, in terms of broadening your local interest in your local base, reports and getting reports on and from the people that you serve, the communities that you serve? That can lead to funding from your local community as well. It's important to diversify your funding stream. I tell my clients all the time, please don't just rely on grants. Please have a very broad fundraising plan that involves more than just grants, because you put the proposal in the mail and it's going to be, possibly 3 months, if not longer, before the check actually comes, yet you still need to operate. So sustaining your support is something that we really want to help you work through, help you to articulate, help you to design a plan around. We want to get you letters of support. We want to make sure that there are news and press releases available that talks about the work that you were doing in the community, how you and your organization is taking the lead in certain areas. Getting as much acknowledgement of your significance in your community as possible is going to be critical. And that's going to help us build in a fundraising plan beyond grants, which are critical, but beyond grants to help you then to be able to sustain the funding that you will need in order for your organization to be sustained. Okay? So in summary, before you write, make sure that you have put in the appropriate planning time. Okay, plan ahead. Plan by reviewing the proposal, planning ahead by researching the funders that are in your community or who may fund on a national level, understanding who and what types of organizations are funded and at what dollar amount, planning time, putting that in ahead. If in fact, you're so busy writing or working, doing the work that you all do, JYM can help you with some of those activities. Okay, communicating clearly, being able to articulate and draw and lay out Who is involved? Who is it that you currently have on your staff, but who is it that you need to hire? What is that process going to look like? If in fact you get the funds, you may say, I want to be able to hire a program person, but I can't hire them until I receive those funds. My thought and our questions to you will be, that's great, that's fine, no problem. However, do you have the job descriptions already written? Do you know where you're going to go to solicit people that are interested or qualified to do the type of work that you need to be done? So what is the time frame of which you want and need that person to be hired? Because if you get the grant today, will that person be able to start tomorrow? Typically, the answer to that is no. But we want to be able to help you lay that out as quickly, as clearly as possible, so that you're able to get off the ground running and making the best use of the dollars that you have solicited, okay? JYM can help you make those plans realistic and feasible, so that when in fact you do get the funds, you're able to start the work and move forward. At this point, you should have everything that you need to now go right. You know your program, you know the people or the things or the communities in which you serve. You have a great idea of what your costs should be. If you in fact don't, again, JYM can help you put those things on paper, so that you are able to then define those things clearly, succinctly, and as thoroughly as possible in your budget. I will tell you that as a reviewer, the first place that we go is the budget. We go to the budget, we look at how much you're asking for, and then we read the program, the proposal, to find out if in fact what you have defined or described in your proposal warrants the amount of dollars that you are seeking. So your budget is very, very important. If in fact you are unsure on how to put together a comprehensive, thorough budget, then JYM can help you do that, and help you then look back to make sure that your budget lines out with your program, because it is critical. Okay, you are now ready to write, to be successful, and to get those dollars. If in fact you find yourself needing a little assistance, we can work with most budgets. We have a history, again, of working with large organizations, startup organizations, helping individuals begin their nonprofit organization status. And so we can craft our services to meet your need in most cases. Again, after 24 plus years, and having worked in almost every position, from I was a vice president of development, I was an executive director, I do the data input, I know what that entails. So I can pretty much pretty quickly assess what it is that you need to do, how quickly it's going to take you to do it, or how quickly it'll take JYM to help you. So we can typically work within any budget and be able to say to you, based on your budget, this is what we'll be able to do to help you be as successful as possible. Our heart is for organizations who have great programs, who are going to impact our communities to the best of their ability. We need positive things going on in our communities. We want to help, okay? So please feel free, no judgment, there's no stress. We're offering a 30-minute free consultation. If you have listened to this training and you are interested in moving forward in your grant writing and you feel that you need a little assistance, then we are here to help you with that. We will give you a 30-minute consult and figure out, where it is that you need improvement, or if there is a way that JYM can assist you in any way possible. Either way, you have been given the tools, the information, the insight that you need to go forward, write your proposal, and to be successful, we hope. To reach us, our email address is JYM, as in Mary, fundraising consultant, no S, at gmail.com. We are on Facebook, JYM Fundraising Consultant on Facebook. We are putting up daily little tidbits. We list active RFPs, requests for proposals, also on our Facebook page. And we are about to launch a newsletter where we send out information about grant writing, tips about grant writing. And so if you would like to be included on that newsletter list, the e-newsletter list, you'll receive an email from us. The email will come, the newsletter will come via email. If you'd like to be put on our email list, please send us an email and we'll respond in kind by forwarding the e-newsletter to you. Okay, and if in fact you want to give us a call, our number is 626-775-4066. Again, my name is Jennifer Yarbrough. I am here to serve, to walk alongside you and wish you, I'm your biggest cheerleader. I am your biggest cheerleader. And I find that as an expert in the field, with all of my years of experience, my greatest joy is sharing it with those to empower you to be successful in your fundraising efforts. I want you to know that I am in your corner, I am on your side, and it just brings me the most joy when you are successful. If you have any questions, feel free to call, to email, send us a message via Facebook. And again, thank you so much for tuning in, and we hope that we will meet at the appointed time and hour and be able to celebrate together your great funding success. Blessings to you, and thank you.